questions for Matt Painter? Nathan, go ahead.
Matt, obviously not the first time you've seen where turnovers, the other team starts taking off, building off. Just what did you see to start the second half?
Yeah,
So
just a total lack of concentration, more than anything on our end. You know, you have to be able to, like the first play, we get them to miss defensively, and they get an offensive rebound, they end up getting a three off of that, and then we just start turning the basketball over. And, you know, it's not like, we just played a half of basketball where the pressure didn't bother us at all. And it was like Purdue beating Purdue. And you've gotta be able to execute and get good shots, and even if you miss them, you gotta be able to get quality shots to set your defense, and you can't play in transition. So I don't know how many, they didn't get that many offensive rebounds, but to be able to get 44 points in the paint and score 23 points off of turnovers, you know, just killed us. We put ourselves in a great position, you know, just to let it squander away.
Matt, you talked about the lack of concentration. It seems like composure's been a key staple of this team the last couple of years with all the success.
Right.
Is it
That's
different
what-
these last 4 games?
Yeah, that's what's frustrating, because like, you know, we've been able to show poise, we've been able to have composure, especially getting on the road, being able to play, not always, I think it affects everybody at some point. And, to say we lost our composure is an understatement. You know, we started dribbling into things that we shouldn't, like our ball movement wasn't good. But we have to do a better job, like to a man, we have to do a better job of just concentrating and executing. And whatever we call, whatever we run, there's a purpose to it. It's not a free-for-all, right? And what they were doing to Trey Kaufman and how they were doing it, like, it's pretty simple read. It's not a hard read. If they're not gonna let you get in there and do it, you pass the basketball and someone else is gonna shoot it. And what we were doing to go against it, to get open looks, you just had to make simple fundamental plays, and we didn't make that, and then we didn't get good point guard play. And we turned the basketball over there, and we just have to have better leadership in those areas. Like, just make simple plays, move the basketball. If they wanna take something away, you just, you know, whatever they give you, you just take it. It's not a hard game. Like, when you're like the most talented team in the country, it doesn't matter sometimes what other people do. But when you're like the rest of us, the rest of the 98% of the teams, like, there's execution involved. Like, you gotta be able to pass and catch. You gotta be able, if they wanna double the post, or they wanna guard a ball screen a certain way, there's ways to go at it. Well, you know, I could write a dissertation on how to attack a post up. Like, you know, we've had some pretty good big guys, like, and how to go. So we got a pretty good feel for how to do that. Now, every coach in America could write a dissertation on how to attack ball screen action, no matter what they do. Just make the right reads, be fundamentally sound, move the basketball, trust your teammates, and play the game. And obviously, we didn't do that the same way.
Jason.
Yeah. You kind of talked this week how being up 12 was a confidence point for your team. Is there another side of the coin where losing those leads tell you something about what your team's doing?
Well, it just looked like a lack of concentration to me. I'll have to watch the tape, but like, there's no recipe for turning the ball over a lot and being successful. There just isn't. It just doesn't work like that. You know, you gotta be able to play the game without turning it over. Just lack of concentration, you know. And then if things don't go your way, you call a timeout, you regroup, you recalibrate as an individual, you understand like, hey, cause like, more than anything, like, no matter how you feel, like, you can be angry, you can be depressed, you can be mad. When you're competing, you still do your job. That's great you feel that way. That's great that they're loud. But like, how many times have you been in, like, you got guys that have played 100 college games, that have been in these venues, that have been in the final game, that have been in the Final Four, that have won Big Ten championships. Like, doesn't mean you're gonna have your best game all the time, but you put your best foot forward all the time. If that makes any sense to you. We didn't put our best foot forward. Like, we just let it snowball. We just kept making it worse. And like, we got a pretty passionate group, but when that tilts into emotion, we've shown that we've shown our weaknesses. And any good team or any good individual player, and it's always coach driven, like, you're getting them, trying to get them to play to their strengths. When you hear coaches talk about role definition, about what to do, all they're doing is trying to get their players to play to their strengths within the individuals on their team. So as you establish your 2, 3, 4 best guys, especially from a scoring standpoint, now you've got to be able to fit in there and be able to piece that But in no situation do you say like, you know what, he turns it over a lot, that's my guy, I want him. Like that's crazy. But like when we got guys turning the basketball over or not making good decisions that have carried the water for us, like that's hard to take because you've seen them do special things. Like Braden Smith, Trey Kaufman-Wren have done special things for us. They've been fabulous for us. Like I'm fortunate enough to coach them. But with that being said, you gotta be accountable. And tonight, we weren't. We did not play to our strengths.
Mike?
Now, right now, what would you say your mood is? Is it frustrated, baffled, angry, worried, combination, or you just want to go into the next one?
Yeah, not all of those. Like, you got get a couple more in there. Yeah, you go to the drawing board, but at some point, when you get to these situations, it's like, your best is always good enough, right? When you try your best and you're trying to do what you're supposed to be doing, and you fail, it's still good enough. You got to learn from it, but it's still good enough. When you don't put your best foot forward and you don't concentrate, it's not good enough. Like you got to be able to go back and understand, like, hey man, I can't put myself in this position. And so no different than reading a book the second time or watching a movie that you saw 12 years ago. You get to certain points and you're like, man, I forgot about that. I forgot about that, because that's the way the mind works. The mind works. It doesn't remember everything. It doesn't recall everything. It's like when someone goes up on a stand and they're in a courtroom and it was 20 years ago. And they say, well, what happened here? Like how they recall something 20 years. When you got guys that have performed and played at a high level and been very successful and good guys, like we don't have selfishness. Like, we don't have that. That isn't an issue with us. We have an accountability issue and a concentration issue where guys aren't concentrating to do their job on both ends. But yet, when they do, we're pretty damn good. We're a good basketball team. But we can't allow the ball to be in the paint. We don't have rim protection. So when we go against how we're doing stuff and we allow the ball to get there, we're not going to have success. They're not a prolific three-point shooting team. So now they make a couple, and then our guys act like Reggie Miller hit 10 threes. And they overreact, and then all of a sudden they play the out when now they get dive dunks or dive layups or dive offensive rebounds. And it's like, no, we're making them, we want them to throw it out. Like we don't want the ball in the paint. We're trying to stop that. We just overreact to some things today, but to me, it starts with our concentration and taking care of the basketball. I think that's where it starts and kind of ends for me. Doesn't mean there's not other issues, because there are.
Right.
Just on the subject of talking about the concentration, the composure that is normally associated with experience, the way Braden and Trey played for you all season long.
Right.
How do you get it back?
You watch film and you be honest. You be honest about things. Anytime in life when like something doesn't go your way, if you'll just be honest about yourself. So, but I got to be honest about myself. So like if you fix yourself, you can fix them. So like you got to make sure you're going into it, and with the personnel we have, we're doing the right things to help them. Right? But I know this: no matter what you decide as a coach, if you don't have 100% buy-in and they don't do their job, you are going to fail, especially on the road. Sometimes you can make more shots, you can be at home, you're better than the opponent, whatever it might be, combination of all those, and then you think what you're doing defensively or what you're doing in a certain area is okay. It's not okay. You still won, but it's not okay. It's going to get you at a certain point. Well, in this scenario, obviously, it all snowballed in the wrong direction.
Matt, I know this is putting you on the spot, but just with as long as you spent coaching in the state, with the coaching situation at IU, just kind of curious what your thoughts are on the job and maybe its place within the college basketball landscape right now.
Yeah, I really don't have a thought on the job. Obviously, we compete against them, and they're our rivals, and they're the guy that's the coach here is a peer of mine. Like even though you compete and want to beat somebody, you want to see other people be successful and keep their job. Just like any of you guys would think the same thing about the other people sitting to your left and right. So it's like anything. Like you gotta get a good person. You gotta get a good coach. You gotta get a guy to understand it. We've had a lot of turnover. Obviously, I think you gotta look at some of the common denominators here more than anything. I think that's an important piece right here. Like, don't beat yourself. Like, don't beat yourself. Like, let's support somebody. And I gotta try that out for once every now and then. When shit goes wrong, like whatever you think Purdue fans are happy about what just happened. Like you like see a fan base isn't the people that tweet. A fan base is the people when you're bleeding, they they support you. Like, they jump in and off, they jump on and off things here, way too much. Like, support your coach, man, support your players. Don't tweet negative things about them. Like, be supportive. Like, see how that works for you. But they build them up, like, and they overdo things. Like, quit overdoing shit. Just accurately, like, talk about what's actually happened. Like, don't like get like recruits and like that's Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen. Then they come out here. Well, they're not Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen. They're good college players. Like, and then they build it up, and then they go, well, what's wrong? Well, they're part of it, but it's not their total fan base. It's just that everyone has a bad percentage of their fan base now because of Twitter, and then we think that's their fan base. It's not our fan base. It's not their real fan base either. And so I think that's an important piece, but it's hard for young people to hear all that and then go out and collectively play like, hey man, we're playing for you guys, but you dog us when we lose, and then we're the best when we win. Well, we're somewhere in between, right? So like, I think they need to learn from some of those things and support Scott Dolson and support the new coach and support the staff, but also kind of be grounded with everything. And they'll be able to, I think they'll be able to have success. It's just a different world now. We have 18 teams, right? We're gonna go into the name, image, and likeness, and some changes are gonna be made here in April. So it'll be real interesting to see just the landscape of everything.
I'm just curious what explanation they gave you about that flagrant review that they did early in the game with
Yeah.
Theo and first. They gave you any explanation why they just called that?
He just said he kicked him. When I went back and watched it, like they said he was going and he just pushed back to run when he kicked him. But so like my whole thing is, I'm 50 feet from it, even though I've watched it. It is what it is. Like, it's basketball, it's competition, it's not that big a deal. But they got the rules all skewed. Like Trey Kaufman might have elbowed that guy in the head. He's shooting a jump hook. And I got it. Like, but when I turn to go and shoot, and I shoot a jump hook, and you got your face right there, he didn't like haul off and elbow somebody on purpose, and he didn't have the ball in his hands. And so like now they get free throws for that. I don't want free throws from this if that's not the play. But that's not a basketball play, and ours is a basketball play. He's shooting a jump hook. He's not on the ground like you know what I mean? Like, and so I don't know. It's probably the only committee I haven't been on is the rules committee. I'll probably end up going there, but it's frustrating how things get called at times. It really is when they can go to the monitor. Like, I think if I reffed a game, I think I would mess up a lot of shit. I really believe that. I ref in practice, I mess up things all the time. But you let me go to that monitor with the TV, I'm not messing that one up. You let me rewind it 4 or 5 times, I'm gonna get those. But I think our rules are like skewed. I don't think they understand like basketball plays versus, we had a guy get 2-hand push in our Michigan game, just 2-hand push, non-basketball. They went there and they're like, nah, just a common foul. I mean, I went back and watched it, it was just ridiculous. It's like, man, that guy, if he got pushed and went into somebody, like, he'd be seriously hurt. It's not a basketball play. So like, or maybe I'm all wet and I don't know the rules, right? But, so, I don't think it's 20 points difference.
No.
Right?
No.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Brad.
Thanks.
Thanks, Matt.